why we can't get enough of watching rich and terrible characters in TV series like The White Lotus. That is so sad, Roman tells the kid, keeling over in laughter. The Roys leave the field and return to their Manhattan empire. The boy is left embarrassed. It's perhaps the hardest to watch scene in a series whose de facto protagonist kills someone in a car accident. As much as we're subjected to these characters' terrible behavior, we're also treated to visual feasts of mega-yachts meandering through the Mediterranean and a curious whale splashing its tail under a Maui sunrise. We're meant to dislike the carelessness and cruelty on display, while also enjoying the luxuries these fictional characters' money can buy. It is the American dream, after all, to ascend to a higher socioeconomic status than that which you were born into. But what the best shows about the rich get right is letting them eat cake, then squashing it. Drawing viewers into the uber-rich lifestyle. Despite focusing on the uber-wealthy, both White Lotus and Succession bring viewers in via outsider characters who don't fully fit that category. In Succession, viewers are brought into the Roy's world by also experiencing the journeys of affable cousin Greg and his power-tripping, beta-male boss, Tom Wambsgans. In The White Lotus, those tuning in also see events through the eyes of struggling journalist Rachel, icy frenemy Paula, and overworked spa manager Belinda. The average viewer can relate to these characters, while witnessing the actions of larger-than-life figures at the center of the story. White said as much about Succession in an interview with The New Yorker. "It's a great show, but it's very King's Court. You can kind of otherize them. They're billionaires," he said. With White Lotus, I wanted it to be more like, this is your next-door neighbor rich person who is part of the system. Little by little, the outsider characters find themselves engaging further with the wealth and status of their associates, drawing viewers in just the same.
It's very American to be fascinated by the wealthy. There was a time when sitcoms that centered around working-class families like Good Times and Roseanne reigned supreme. A Vulture timeline of working-class sitcoms notes that these series were especially popular during the 70s and the late 80s, periods of slow economic growth. But as time went on, wealthier families also came into focus. The Jeffersons focused on a black family enjoying a newly prosperous life. The soap opera Dynasty followed the dramas of an oil magnate's extended family. Beverly Hills 90210 featured rich, clueless teens who, despite their status, suffered just like the rest of us. Those series weren't always critically acclaimed, but they were widely watched. HBO has become the primary purveyor of critically acclaimed dramas and satires about one-percenters and the harm they dole out. Many of those series are routinely acclaimed by critics and dissected on podcasts, web series, and in articles like this one. But their success is reliant most of all on an audience curious about the lives of the 1%. The American fascination with wealth is natural, given the importance our culture places on upward mobility and achievement, said June Deary, a professor and department head of communication and media at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Deary has written at length about reality TV and wealth voyeurism, particularly through the lens of Bravo's Real Housewives franchise. The women on the series are particularly compelling because, in most cases, the women are members of the nouveau riche, or new money, Deary writes. They weren't necessarily born into wealth and status like the fictional Roy family, so their way of expressing their wealth and status is often overstated, evidenced by name-dropping famous acquaintances and adorning themselves in designer emblems. That's the American dream at work, Deary said. We're attracted and disgusted in equal measure. Television reflects and reinforces the importance of wealth, said Jim Burrows, a professor who leads a master's program in global commerce at the University of Virginia and studies materialism.
It's less clear, he said, why we're equally repulsed by and drawn to these characters, though he speculates it has something to do with social comparison. We compare our own actions to those around us, for better or for worse, and adjust our behaviors accordingly. We may be disgusted by the behavior of the wealthy people we watch while subconsciously coveting all that they have, he said. And even when series are clearly poking fun at their characters, it's possible that audiences can miss the point of even the strongest satire. Lines blur, and the voyeurs are enthralled suddenly by the lifestyle rather than the consequences of living that way, Burroughs said.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.